What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Community Farm Alliance podcast. I'm your host for the Black and Berry series. My name is Vaughn Barnes, and I have with me today one of my mentors in this agriculture stuff out here in Kentucky, Travis Cleaver of Cleave's Family Market. For all the listeners out there, listeners and watchers, since I know you personally, it's different for me to sit here and ask questions. But for the people that don't know you, tell everybody what Cleave's Family Market is.
I'm Travis Cleaver, part of Cleaver Farms, Cleve's Family Market. We direct sell meat and vegetables all through central Kentucky. We do numerous types of marketing, whether we sell packages of vegetables, sell cuts of meat, sell wholes and half beefs and wholes and half pigs. We do numerous types of marketing with different ethnic groups, just a whole different hodgepodge of ways of marketing.
Travis, talk a little bit about how that started for you and how you progressed from meat to now produce.
Okay, well, we started out, all we had were beef cattle. My family growing up were a small tobacco farmers. We had 14 acres, few cows, few pigs, and mostly just tobacco. When we left and then returned back in 2004, we had our cows again, but then we started, through the help of Teran Jewel, we started doing vegetables. And then the vegetable thing, just people fell more in love with the vegetables than they did the meat. And then the vegetables became more of a cash flow. So, of course, you got to follow your customer base. When the customer base livened up, we just grew with it. So we started out with a backyard market garden. Then we expanded and added a standalone crop of collards. Then we added a standalone crop of sweet potatoes, which, believe it or not, we had a sweet potato co-op before we had anything else. It was called Groundbreakers. And it's 4 or 5 of us here in LaRue County that we sell sweet potatoes together, or we'll buy plants together. So as everything just grew and grew, we just grabbed a hold, held on.
So you mentioned that you guys started with a backyard market garden. What was that? Like, how much space did it take up? Where was it at? And what did you grow?
It was about half an acre, and it was just a mixed match of strawberries, tomatoes, squash, zucchini, few cantaloupe, green beans. And at this point, we didn't know how to lay out what we needed and what we didn't need, because we didn't have a true clientele. It was something that we were trying to build. We literally, first weekend we set out to sell vegetables, we sold $75. So obviously we didn't have the clientele built. We didn't have a market strategy. We just started, and then the half acre moved to 1 acre, then to 1 acre to 3 acres, and now I think we're somewhere between 6 and 7 acres of vegetable production.
When did it become a business for you? When you planted the first seed and started selling the first crops, or when you said, all right, we're going to take the $75 and make it $150?
It was just a hustle, really. And then the hustle became the business because the hustle got too big. And so it meant we started having to hire some more dependable labor. So we went out and we hired some H2A workers. And then once you start having a weekly payroll, now it's a true business, because these guys are dependent on you to make their payments. We're dependent on them to help keep us afloat, because 6 acres, 7 acres, or even half an acre, when you're doing the marketing, the planning, the growing, the selling, you can't be every place at one time. So you had to build your team up, and knowing that these people are dependent on you to pay them, now it's got to be a little more business than just we're just going to wing it.
When did you realize that you had to hire somebody? When in the half acre, or was it more than half?
Well, it was probably in, I'd say, year 3, year 4.
Right.
Just because you couldn't do a good enough job. You couldn't do a good enough job doing it by yourself or doing it with just our family. When I say by myself, it's always my family. It's not just me by myself. But it was just us trying to do it. We all work public work. So you're already working 40 to 60 hours a week at the public job, where you can't get back and get everything you needed picked on Friday night to have it ready by Saturday.
Got you. So at that time, you decide, all right, cool, we're gonna get 2 or 3 people to
and we tried to hire people, and it's just this is an unorthodox type of hustle or unorthodox type of business. And after trying for a couple of years of just hiring local people that wanted to try this, it still wasn't working because, for one, they wasn't conditioned for the heat. And this isn't, I'm going to go pick vegetables for 30 minutes. These gentlemen that we hire now, they put in 8-10 hour days just like you would if you was at a factory. And so you had to have people that were as passionate about it as we were. So we reached out, we did an H2A program, and that is really what just threw us over the top because we could produce when what nobody else producing because these guys are just, they're just amazing at what they do.
Talk a little bit about that. What does that mean?
H2A program is we have what I think they would refer to it as immigrant labor that comes from Mexico. It doesn't have to be Mexico. It can be Jamaica. It can be, Guatemala. Anyway, it's an agency out of Lexington. They'll hook you up with workers that are not from the U.S. And these guys live on the farm with you, and they're basically your employees for however long a contract. We usually do a 6-month contract. And I think we've been doing this is our 5th year having H2A workers.
So you have to go to Lexington to set up where you get your farmhand from.
We'll go to a company called AWMA, and now we don't even have to go there anymore. We've done it long enough that they send us an email, we send it back, we fill out the packet on the guys we want, and then they'll send the information to the consulate in Mexico. And 75 days later, the gentlemen arrive on the farm.
So now you have to make sure you provide lodging and all that stuff for them, and they do everything else, or do you got to provide the food? What do you have?
They provide their food, we provide lodging, and we provide transportation. You got to help once they get here. You got to reimburse them for the travel that they have. And then, of course, you have a contract that you got to pay for through AWMA. Of course, like you said, supply their food. Well, they're raising 7 acres of vegetables. So, of course, they're going to go out in the garden and just, they're going to eat like we eat.
With you having the animals on the farm, do they butcher animals as well for themselves, or how does that part work?
No, sir. Gentlemen that work with us, they eat meat out of the freezer, or they'll go grocery shopping. They have a standard diet like we do. Biggest difference for me and the gentleman when we have lunch, I eat white bread, they eat tortillas, but we eat the same. We eat chicken, or we eat beef, or we eat pork. But that's maybe theirs is a little more spicier than mine, but we eat the same standard type of food.
Their food is spicier than yours, Travis.
Yeah, I can't eat it, man. They try to have me, it's just too hot. But you talk about the people doing the processing on the farm. We do have people that come to the farm that want to process their own food. These guys are, the gentlemen that are with me, man, they already are putting in 10-hour days. Last thing they got time to do or want to do is clean a chicken. They ready for something quick. And these guys come from family-based situation where their wives cook for them. They go home when they're in Mexico. They go home every day for lunch, and their wife prepares their food, and then they leave. I mean, it's not like here where we pack a lunch and we take a 30-minute lunch and then we go back to work. They're accustomed to going home and eating. So this is a whole new.
This is difficult.
It's very different for them to have to stop work at 12, go cook something, and then come back out in the field. So they definitely don't want to do their own processing.
On the farm tour, when I was out there in LaRue County, I seen one of your customers come out to the farm and process a cow. Can you tell and talk a little bit about what that is like?
Well, we had a family come out of the city. They come to the farm. They wanted to process their own animals so they could get it cut up their way, and they also get more meat by doing it this way, and they get a better price.
Right.
So basically, we'll put the cow in a position where they can process it, and we'll hang it up for them. And then once we do that, it's all on them. They do the rest.
Now, by law, are they allowed to come to the farm and process the animal? Like, how does that work?
Yes,
Legal?
they're allowed to process it because it's their animal. You know, they couldn't come to the farm and process this animal and then sell it to somebody. But as long as you're processing your food for your home consumption, you can do it however you want to.
Mm. So that's
So
that's the workaround instead of having to go to the butcher. If,
yeah,
if you buy the cow from somebody or you buy the hog from somebody, whatever animal it is, once you purchase it, you can do it right there on the farm.
yes. If you have the skill set, you have the tools, and you have the know-how,
Right.
then what you do with this is what our ancestors did for years anyway. They used to have what you call hog killings, and families would get together and they would process 4 or 5 pigs together as a community and as a family. And I think that's a lot of stuff that we're missing today as far as the collaboration of everybody becoming a stronger group. But that's neither here nor there. But these people, they come and they do their thing together. There might be 5 men or 3 women, and they all just work together. And an hour later, they're leaving, heading back.
Did you know that CFA is a nonprofit organization that supports family farms, equity work, food access, and policy work across Kentucky? If you're interested in supporting any of this work, please go to cfaky.org and go to our donate tab in order to donate or become a member today. We really appreciate any and all help that we get, and it goes back to helping both farmers and consumers across the Bluegrass State. For more information, go to www.cfaky.org. Once again, that's www.cfaky.org. Thank you. And now back to our show.
So you was just talking about collaborating, and that was one of the things that, again, I learned from you a lot when we had our meeting that the time when yourself, myself, Mike, and a few others had met down at your farm. Talk a little bit about the way that you collaborate in the co-ops and things that you're doing behind the scenes that some people don't realize.
That the collaboration goes back to what you were talking about earlier, is our expansion. We hit a very, very early ceiling with just Cleaver Farms and Cleve's Family Market, and that ceiling was very low. But once we started adding the expertise of people like yourself with your eggs, Ashley with Black Soil and her marketing, Hodge Farm and his animal production, Mr. Thomas, the ag teacher, plus I think the Hills of Grace is his farm. All of these people allowed us to be better because they bring something to the table that we don't do well.
On the farm, when I was out there walking around with you, I was also walking around there with somebody else.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this guy.
Ryan Hodge is his name. Hodge Farms. He's in Flint Hill, Kentucky. He does backyard chickens. He does egg production. He's got sheep, and he's a true show. Like he doesn't have any background in farming. When he started with us a year or two ago, he didn't know how to start a tractor. Now he can do all the feeding. He can do all the moving of the cattle. He can do all the feeding of the pigs. He can do it on his own place, and this just shows somebody that was eager to want to learn and had a passion for learning. He came out asking how can he help versus asking how much can he get paid.
Right.
And I mean, he's just done an amazing job.
Immediately we met, and he's like, "Hey man, I got this rabbit for you. You want this rabbit?" And now I'm getting into rabbits, and I never even had rabbits. I'm like, this guy's helping me out. He's putting me on.
Both of you all had that positive energy where you weren't going to let him you weren't going to outgive him. I mean, both of you. I mean, because I remember sitting over there watching, and it's like, man, these guys they hitting it off. I mean, y'all had y'all's own conversation, and that's what we're supposed to do. We're just supposed to collaborate and work together, and try to help make each other better.
He's probably not going to ever outgive me at this
point. That's good news.
Because I got something else for him, and he don't even know I got something else for him. And I I've been trying to work some other things down there too. But
yes.
And that's the thing, and it's funny that you say that. It was because of your conversation that we had out there and what happened that day. And I'm just like, all right, what can I do to bring stuff back down here for him and you, and in hopes, not necessarily for the trade, but to make whatever he has going on down there better.
You know, we're endangered species, as I put it. You know, there's not a lot of people doing what Point does, or there's not a lot of people doing what Mike does. There's not a lot of people doing what Ryan does. There's not a lot of people doing what I do. So a lot of times you feel alone when you're doing this. But when you can put us all together,
right,
you know, we really, really link up, and it recharges our battery. Because, like, all right, I can tell you, man, you got to keep raising your chickens. People love your eggs, and that gives you that little motivation to, all right, I don't have to quit. Or if I say, man, I'm thinking I'm gonna get out of vegetables, and you might tell me, man, you're killing it in the vegetables.
Yeah.
So then finally, I'll pick up the pieces and try again. And I think that's what we do for each other. We just help build the morale.
Ryan showed me the cattle. Talk a little bit about how you do your grazing and what you do with the cattle and the sheep and things like that out there on that front paddock.
The cattle, we have probably 40 mama cows that we use their calves to raise as beef. It usually takes 14, 15 months to get their calf up to processing size. And we put our cows on what we try to call rotational grazing. Well, we'd like to move them every day, but during vegetable season, a lot of times we move them every 3 days. And all that is expanding the paddock. You know, we'll give them a fresh piece of grass every few days. I think when you and I were together, I think we were probably still feeding hay. So the cows are, you know, they're eating more hay than they were grass. Now, all our cows are on pasture. They're all rotated every day. We just have a total hodgepodge of different type of cows, colors. The color of the breed doesn't matter as much as if you can raise a calf every year. That's the most important thing. You bring a calf back with you when you return to the barn once a year. And if you bring a calf with you, then you stay another year. If you don't bring a calf with you, then you don't stay. Then you're going to be a part of Cleve's Family Market in the hamburger package. But that's, you know. Everything has got to support itself, you know. We have for our pigs to stay there, our sows, they've got to raise so many pigs a year. I mean, we've got a benchmark, and if we can't hit that benchmark, then we've got to find something to replace you. And so, you know, our cows don't have names, our pigs don't have names. You know, a sow, she has to lay down and have 8 babies each time she has babies in order to stay profitable and stay in production for us. You know, we've got dogs and cats for pets. The livestock, we love the livestock, we love raising them, but we've got to make it where we can make a profit as well.
Kentucky Double Dollars, a program of Community Farm Alliance supporting Kentucky farmers and families with over $300,000 in nutrition benefits matched in 2021. For more information or to find a location near you, visit www.kentuckydoubledollars.org.
The passion was first beef cattle, correct?
Correct. The passion has been beef cattle, pigs, and then after that, we slowly got into the market gardening. After the market gardening, we started hearing about this, you know, some cash flow things with meat chickens. Then we heard about pasture improvement with sheep. You know, we've got a little bit of everything. We've got a few layers. So I mean, it's a little bit of everything, not a whole lot of anything.
Got you. And I guess that diversity is what made Cleve's Family Market what it is right now.
I would have to say but we would have never been able to market meat as good as we market meat if we would have never marketed vegetables. We would have never been able to sell ribeyes and half beefs as good as we sell them now if we would have never had sausage. Because now you just opened up the avenue to, if a person loves sausage, then they might give our pork chops, they might give our hamburger a try. If a person loves hamburger, they might give our eggs a try. And that's where the collaboration comes into. Now we could take a gentleman like Ryan, who's wanting to start an egg production business. He doesn't have to build his market because Cleaver Family Market already has the market. He can be up and running in day one. We can put Hodge Farms with 100 layers and they're producing 100 dozen eggs a week. We've already got the market to fill it. He doesn't have to worry about
Right.
where am I going to sell these eggs at. And that's the great thing about doing collaborations. That makes us grow faster, but it also keeps him from having to weather so many storms.
When I was getting into the market, Mike, he did me the big eye-opening experience by saying, hey, you might not have all the chickens, but as long as you start, you can reach out to somebody like Travis and he can help on your supply chain.
We collaborated together, and the way we did it, we can always come back to it if we need to, or we can always cut it off. Like, you as you build a contract, you gave these people your word. If something happens, a dog gets into your chickens and messes up your laying flock. Well, you can't just tell your customer base you ain't going to have eggs anymore. You might have to reach out to me and tell your new chickens can get big enough to do what they need to do.
Right.
And so, that's the thing about working together. And I enjoyed working with you, man. We had a great time. We did good business. And we both were transparent.
Right.
You knew what you needed. I knew what I needed. And that left all the foolishness out.
Absolutely. Now, you say that with Ryan and everything that you guys going on over there, working together. How has Ryan helped you at the farm?
Man, Ryan's been he's my lifeline, between, what he can, his eyes, even if I'm on the train, Ryan can tell me what he sees, or I might not have to feed at 10 o'clock at night because Ryan stopped by and put out hay for me. If the fence needs fixing, he can fix the fence while I'm not there. There's just so many things that Ryan has done. If we need to go get feed, if we need to go pick up meat, if we need to do a delivery because Heather can't do her delivery route that day, Ryan will jump in. And so, he's just been heaven sent. And he was eager to be a part of it. And I can only imagine when you two got together without anybody else, I bet y'all was giving sheep and giving chickens to each other. And, I know y'all was having a heck of a time.
Man, right now, me and Ryan's work. Like I said, I got something going on for him. He's not ready for the next move, but.
And then I would have to say, going back to this, I don't know how you want to put it in there. You asked what built us, and I say one of the strongest collaborations that we have nurtured and grown together was Black Soul and Cleaver Family Market both took off together, and we kind of used each other as a ladder or as a platform. Black Soul would take a step, and we'll take a step with them. They take a step, we'll take a step. We take a step, they take a step, and the marketing level that Black Soul is on is just unbelievable. And the trust that they put in us to provide the things that we provide for them, they have given us the room and the confidence to go all in. So I want to make sure that, that was the backbone of what we did also.
Oh, yeah. Ashley's amazing.
Yeah.
Ashley is amazing over there at Black Soul. The other day for Third Thursday at Kentucky State, she put on a presentation that I'm like, golly.
And people don't realize, people think they want to be Black Soul or they think they can do it Black Soul. People don't see the hours or the work or the determination that Miss Ashley has. She goes early and she goes long, and she gets told, she gets doors shut in her face, she gets told no, and she's right back at it again tomorrow, just putting in that work and having the confidence to step out there on her own and do what she's doing.
Yeah.
If that doesn't push you, and I know you're a lot like this too, when you see somebody working, you're like, man, you're not going to outwork me. And that's kind of how Black Soul was for Cleaver Family Market. Man, I'm not going to be the one that makes this thing fail. If we all do that, man, because we still have a lot of room for everybody to get better. We have a lot of room for everybody to grow. We have a lot of room for everybody to make money, because at the end of the day, we need to make some money. We don't. A lot of times we try to act like that's the forbidden fruit. We don't want to talk about money. we got to make some money.
Right. So now here's a question for you that we've talked about this, a lot of the conversation that we're having right now, Trav, we've had these conversations on our own, but just so everybody knows and kind of where our mindset is about this, what have you seen happening in agriculture as far as like people coming back and the age gap and the differences? What are some of the stuff you've seen?
Man, I've been allowed to see agriculture, especially people that look like you and me, go full circle. When I started doing this, I was the youngest one. I was with, the Steve Graves, the Lee Graves, the Billy Curls. I was farming with those guys, and they were all my mentors. And then there's a 30-year gap between them and me. And then there was nobody behind me. And then after a lot of lonely days of doing this with just them and myself, man, there's guys like you showed up, guys like Mike Jackson. We've already talked about Ashley. We talked about Ryan. I've never seen, as long as I've been in agriculture, I've never seen so many young people, young adults that are interested in agriculture. And it's because they realize that they didn't drink the Kool-Aid. Meaning,
right.
when we were 30, and when we were 20, you thought only way you was a farmer is if you had 50 acres.
Yeah.
You know, wrong, 50 acres is great, but you don't have to wait till you get 50 acres to be a farmer. You can put 10 chickens in a cage and move them around your backyard every day, and you sell an egg, so you're a farmer.
Yep.
And that's what, you take somebody like Mike Jackson with Kentucky Greens, the stuff that he can do with greens and microgreens is amazing. He doesn't own a tractor, but he's producing food, and he's producing on a good scale, and it's great quality. So I've seen farming for people that look like me go 180 out. Now I'm seeing people that are younger than me getting involved, and they're running with this thing, man. And I just want to be a part of it. I want to be alongside them, and I want to go with them as they go.
So you do know that this is the Black and Berry series. I have to ask this question. If there was a berry to represent Cleve's family market, what berry would it be and why?
Wow. I guess what about the elderberry? It's always around, but nobody really knows the use for it. So, you don't ever see anybody just eating elderberries, but you always keep hearing about it. So, somebody always hearing about it. Once they find out about us, then they start trying us out, getting to know us. But before, they're just always inquisitive. What's the deal with this Cleve's family market? What's the story with Cleve's family market? We just been hearing a little buzz about them. So I'd say it would be something like that we've been heard of, but we wasn't really known. People didn't know what we were until they really got to know us.
Good one. That's the first time somebody said the elderberry.
Yeah.
With that being said, we've come to the end of the conversation. Travis, it was dope, man.
Man, I always enjoy rapping with you, man. Anytime you come see me, let me know. Love to have you. I'll let you and Ryan get together and do some trading.
No, for sure. I got to get out there. Sooner than later. Anyway, I got something that, like I said, I got to bring some stuff down there. But everybody remember, real change comes from the ground up. Until next time, peace.
You have a great one now.